So once again, I welcome you all to this very special 136th session of Leadership Talks. As you know that these sessions are being organized by India International Education Council and School Lalaji Solutions. India International Education Council is a not-for-profit organization which is working in the field of education. It has collaborators from 12 countries. It aims to create a better world through education. It is also trying to build quality centers for elementary education, approachable for all kids, finding best educational practices across the globe and find ways to implement those in Indian institutions is another goal of IIEC. It is also creating more awareness on hygiene and learning disabilities. It publishes a magazine called World Education Review and many other reports. It will aim to build 100 chapters in different cities by 2022. It will soon open its membership for institutions, individuals. It also imparts training for leaders, teachers, and parents. As you know that so far we have conducted 135 sessions. We have received 16,378 registrations, 15,008 questions on national education policy. We have received participation from 6 countries: India, USA, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Nepal, and Kuwait. From India, we have seen participation from 22 states and 112 cities. We aim to organize minimum 200 sessions. With this, we would be reaching out to 100,000 educators, 20,000 institutions, and 1,000 plus eminent speakers like today's speakers would be joining us to share their perspective and ideas on national education policy. So with this, I would request you all, please join me in welcoming our key speakers for this very special session. Our first key speaker, a very senior education leader, Mamta Pandey. Mamta ma'am is principal with the DAV Centenary Public School, Karnal, Haryana. She's a seasoned educator with 20 years of experience in education, 12 years in administration. She has done MA in both languages. She has also done MPhil. She is also a postgraduate in education technology and school administration. She is also offering her services as a resource person at zonal level in DAV for both languages. She has been awarded and recognized for her contribution to the field of education many times. We welcome you, Mamta ma'am. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you.
A very good morning. All the members of this leadership talks, that panel,
Right.
the intellectuals who have got connected.
Mamta ma'am, I'll be coming back
to listen.
All the introductions. Then I'll come back to you for your opening remark.
Okay.
Right. Thank you.
Right.
Our next key speaker, another senior education leader, Naina Chaureji. Naina ma'am is principal with Mount Litera Z School, Bhind, Madhya Pradesh. She's a qualified education with rich experience in the field of education. Along with education, some other areas where she possesses hands-on expertise remain counseling, training, and development of teaching faculty, along with organizational development. She has worked with many other reputed schools as a principal like Helibari International School, Kalyan, Maharashtra, Redcliffe Schools, Thane, Swami Vivekanand English Medium School and Junior College, Nest School. She has also worked as a chairperson with the Sai Niketan Education Trust for 17 years. She has received many prestigious awards like Women Icon Award 2007, Most Dynamic Lady Entrepreneur 2009, Best Award for Planning 2010, Best Management Award, Rashtriya Ratna Award, Nityanjali's Award for Contribution to Education, and Savitribai Phule Puraskar 2015, among many other such awards. We welcome you, Naina ma'am. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you. I'll come back to you. Welcome, ma'am. Our next key speaker, another senior education leader, Kavita Singh ji. Kavita ma'am is the principal with SGRR Public School, Dehradun, Uttarakhand. She's a dynamic professional with decades of experience in teaching operations, administration, and curriculum management. She's a dedicated and self-motivated leader with proficiency in handling the administrative activities, upholding the institution's motto. She did her MA, from Dehradun, Master of Social Work from Institute of Social Sciences. She has also worked with the Amba School of Excellence, Ahmedabad, GD Goenka School, Jammu, GD Goenka School, Hisar, Delhi Public School in Rajasthan, Shri Ram Vidya Mandir Senior Secondary School, Haridwar. She has got an award from Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs for organizing the best youth parliament in Punjab region. She has also visited South Africa and attended an international conference represented Southwest Asia and acted as the spokesperson for the region. She has also received Best International School Award for GD Goenka School Jammu and Jodi Goenka School Hisar. We welcome you, Kavita ma'am. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you. Our next speaker, another senior education leader, Soumitra Chatterjee ji. Soumitra ma'am is principal with Sunbeam School, Sarnath, Varanasi, Uttar Pradesh. She's a highly talented, skilled, and dynamic educator with 2 decades of experience in motivating and learning environment and developing students. She has served many schools like Sunbeam English School, Delhi Public School, Disari Public School as an educator, and as a principal in Einstein Public School, and as a vice principal in Sunbeam School, Varuna. She has completed her graduation from Calcutta University with a degree in accountancy and master's in economics. She has a PG diploma in school leadership and management from IGNOU. She has excellent leadership qualities and team building skills. She has in-depth knowledge of student behavior and classroom evolution. She has also conducted many workshops for teachers as well as students, including importance of time management, art integrated learning, continuous professional development, the art of framing multiple choice questions, and many others. We welcome you, Soumitra ma'am. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you. Our next speaker, Dr. Kishore Raja. Dr. Raja is the head of department ECE with SRM University, Haryana. Dr. Raja received PhD degree from Anna University, Chennai, and completed ME in Communication Systems from Thiagarajar College of Engineering, Madurai. He has published more than 50 journals, papers in peer-reviewed journals, and has more than 23 years of experience in teaching and research. He has received very prestigious C.V. Raman Research Award for the contribution of research in the area of wireless communication. He published a book, Electromagnetics Engineering 2015. He is a reviewer of the following international journals: International Journal of Network Security, Taiwan Sensor Letters, American Scientific Publisher, Village Journal, USA. Welcome you, Dr. Raja. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you, sir.
And our last speaker for this very special session, a very senior EdTech leader, Jaswinder Singh ji. Jaswinder ji is the founder and CEO of Wordsworth ELT. Jaswinder Singh ji has an experience of 30 years in the field of education and technology, and has also served as a consultant to UNESCO and education. Wordsworth English Lab is designed for India and is a highly research initiative of the ACT Group. It is a trusted education company with 2 decades of service in technology, education, and training. Its expertise in technology, multimedia, and content development has been instrumental in presenting a world-class language lab solution for academia in India. In a short span of time, Wordsworth English Language Lab has managed considerable recognition across the country for its unique content and methodology. Over 3,000 installations in institutions across the country stand testimony of the quality in product, implementation, training, and continual service provided by ActUniv and its committed network of dealers. We welcome you, Jaswinder sir. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you, Rajuji. Thank you.
Welcome, sir. So with this, we come to the next part of this session, which is the opening remark part. I would be requesting all our speakers, if we can have your 1 minute opening remark just to set the tone for the session. I would be coming back to you for detailed perspective after this part. So I would request our first speaker, Mamta Pandey, ma'am. Mamta ma'am, if we can have your quick 1 minute opening remark.
A very good morning to each one of you, all the esteemed members of this panel, and the people of education fraternity who have got connected to enjoy this session of leadership talk. It's my I'm glad to join this leadership talk. I mean this platform, this interactive platform, for discussing one of the most important issue, that is NEP. It has been rightly said that an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. So I believe all of us, we are together, definitely are going to invest a lot and acquire more in future. I would be speaking on pedagogy and curriculum. That would be my point, because we would be talking of like action plan, how and why. So that would be best answered through this pedagogy and curriculum. So I would be speaking on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mamta ma'am. We all are very excited to hear your ideas on that important part. I'll be coming back to you. Now, I would request Naina ma'am, if we can have your opening remark.
Hi, everyone. A very, very good morning to one and all. And I'm really happy and looking forward for a power-packed session with such stalwarts of industry. I'm sharing the screen today. It's a really quite a memorable moment for each one of us because we are going to discuss something which is very important. I thank Mr. Rajul for giving a very good briefing about me. I really thank everyone. Today, we are going to discuss on some.
Ma'am, you have been muted. Naina ma'am?
Yeah. Am I audible right now? Yeah.
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah. So the one driving force that everyone is hit off today in the academic industry is, and the pandemic hitting everywhere. Everybody have one question in their minds is like, what is NEP? And will I be affected? Will I be afflicted? Will I be distracted? Or will I augment this policy that is restructured? So this is something which is initially it might seem to everyone that it is synthetic and awkward, but I think gradually it is gonna sink in us like what we Indians are. It's like at the moment for some of them fish out of water due to this pandemic and you can say online teaching. But then I think it is tough, but then that's how we evolve with a growth mindset. So my topic will be briefing about what are the advantages and the disadvantages. There are no disadvantages, but then how to combat this. So, well, to all my dear friends, wish you all amazing day today. Yes, see you soon.
Thank you, Naina ma'am. I'll be coming back to you. Yes. Big thanks for joining. Now, I would request Kavita Singh ma'am. Kavita ma'am, if we can have your quick 1-minute opening remark. Kavita ma'am. Kavita ma'am, do we have your presence?
Yeah.
Kavita ma'am has lost the connection. She would be joining us.
Yes. Good morning, everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is a wonderful initiative of School Lalaji and India International Council to spread the awareness for NEP 2020. I'm thankful to Kavya and Mr. Rajul for inviting me, and this is 126th session, and I appreciate you that you are creating so much awareness among the community of educators regarding this NEP. I think that elite schools were already doing so many things as far as NEP is concerned. तो जो बातें NEP में अब हो रही हैं तो बहुत सारे schools they were already doing these things, elite schools especially, like if I will be talking project based learning, we were doing competency based education and assessment, so many things. But the best part now what the government has done through this document, now these things will become into force with uniformity. This is a wonderful initiative of Government of India, which is going to overhaul the Indian education system at the grassroots level. And when I'll be sharing my screen, I'll be talking more about this. So thank you very much once again.
Thank you, Kavita ma'am. We all are very excited with your presence and very eager to hear your ideas. Now I would request Swamita ma'am, if you can have your quick opening remark.
Yeah, good morning and welcome to all the co-participants today. And first of all, I would like to thank Mr. Rajul Laji, India International Education Council and World Education Review for creating this amazing platform for brainstorming. And I think by the time we have reached today's session, that is the 136th session, you all have brought NEP to our bedrooms from the offices. Now it has become a hot topic of discussion. Even our children at home, our family members, everybody, they are all living NEP actually. That's what I feel. So I'm very thankful to each one of you. Besides, I think it is one of the most relevant topics of discussion. And the more we can involve the mass into it, the more things would become easier, smoother, and more practically approachable. So from the circular of NEP to our classrooms, this journey, you and this initiative on your part has already made this journey half smooth. We are already halfway through it, and I'm sure by the end of all your sessions, every one of us would be more equipped, more empowered to take the NEP into our classrooms, into our schools, and into the lives of our children. And I would be placing my views and opinions today on the topic of 21st century, teaching in the 21st century, the experience, challenges, and definitely some solutions to it. So we'll look forward to a way forward. And I'm sure it's going to be a really compact session. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Samita ma'am, for this, I would say I really appreciate your compliments, but, this is, I would say, a collective initiative, without the proactive participation from leaders like you, and other school leaders, this doesn't make any impact. So big thanks to all of you for supporting us, for your participation. And absolutely, this NEP has already achieved a few milestones. We would be discussing those things during the session as well. So big thanks once again, Samita ma'am, for your participation. I'll be coming back to you. And now I would request Dr. Kishore Raja. Dr. Raja, if we can have your opening remarks, sir.
Yeah, good morning to everyone. So happy to see all the principals of the schools. So this is a wonderful session. I think we learned many things from the different expert members. So I'm very happy to glad to be here. Today I'm going to discuss about why the coding is so important, and I'm going to give the introduction to the coding and little bit about what is the innovation, what is the discovery. So really we want that because we want to inculcate those things, innovation, discovery into the minds of the students. So we are moving to the 21st century and 22nd century. So I think the young minds, we have to put what is the innovation, what is the discovery. So that is what I am going to talk about that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Raja. I'll be coming back to you, sir, for your main talk. Now I would request Jaswinder, sir, sir, if you can have your opening remark.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Rajul, and thank you for having me here. Good morning, everybody. We are talking about NEP 2020. I call it as a very disruptive time in our entire education history. But this is a positive disruption. If we tread firm and tread slow, I'm sure we'll be able to achieve what has been defined in this policy. Since I come from the EdTech industry, I'm going to talk about how do we use technology to help support us achieve what we are supposed to do. And I'm also going to talk about, the changes that have been brought when it comes to language, the language of instruction, what all should be done. So that's what I'm going to focus on. Over to you, Rajulji. Thank you.
Thank you, Jaswinder, sir. I'll be coming back to you. And with this, we come to the next part of the session. We would be inviting our key speakers for their detailed perspective, on national education policy. But before I invite our first speaker, I just would like to share the learnings which we have had during our last 135 sessions. During our last 135 sessions, almost all the participants shared that this is a wonderful document. This document has a potential to place India at that coveted position of Vishwa Gyan Guru. But at the same time, almost same number of participants share that execution is going to be very challenging. Not impossible, but it's going to be hugely challenging. A lot of people shared that teachers training are a big concern area. Many people also share that yes, teachers training is a big concern area, but the bigger concern area is lack of intent among teachers to get trained. So we need to motivate them. That is going to be another challenging part. Many educators, senior educators also assess like Kavita ma'am and other educators who have participated in previous sessions that good schools have been already implementing many of these ideas. The biggest challenge would be for rural schools, budget schools, and the government schools. Many people who shared, they shared their assessment that the pandemic has exposed how poor distribution we have, for digital infrastructure. So that is going to be another big concern area. So I would request all our speakers that while sharing your perspective, your ideas, if you can also suggest some solutions or some best practice which you have been, doing in your particular institution, which we believe there are many. So that would make this session more meaningful, more useful for all of us. So with this, I would also request, the time limit for all these speakers would be 8 to 10 minutes, one speaker. So I would also request that please keep the time limit in mind so that we have sufficient time in the end for the questions. Right. So now with this, I would request our first key speaker, Mamta Pandey. And I also must recognize the presence of Sunita Nandwani ma'am, Principal, Saffron Public School, Faridabad. Welcome, Sunita ma'am, for joining. And now I would request Mamta ma'am, if you can have your ideas in detail.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rajul Pratap Singh, for being the captain of the ship today, for taking more ahead this leadership talk. Obviously,
I'm the 12th man who is sitting outside and just looking at all the things. So
you are visible to us, and we Kamya, she was connected with us, so it is.
We are losing on your connection, ma'am. No, there is some connection glitch, ma'am. The strength of your connection is bit weak. I would request if you can, ma'am, Mamta ma'am, quickly log out and log in. So that would help. So I would request Naina ma'am, if you can begin with your thought, and then we'll come back to Mamta ma'am later.
Absolutely, not to worry. I'll do it. Not a problem. Mamta ma'am can take her time. It's okay. These are the glitches which we have to face. I mean, we are working. We were with it. I mean, from last 1 year. Yeah. So all my dear friends. I'll just begin with my aspect today, what my perspective is about NEP. I would like to, shall I begin? Yeah. So for me, NEP, from my perspective, I'm going to talk, whatever points I've jotted down, whatever I felt, I've summed up certain things. So everyone will be thinking in a different perspective. Everyone will be having different angle of taking the NEP. But for me, what it is that I'm going to speak today. So please, if you have anything, you can just put me in the inbox, and I will definitely I will be very happy to answer it. So before I start everything, I will say this NEP, whatever it has come, it is due to, it's just a regular policy for all those people who are actually skeptical and they are in double minds. For them, I will say that it is usually the government in terms of improvising and augmenting the policies based on political, sociological, economical, and technological changes that usually happens in the country. So this is
Ma'am, we've lost you. Naina ma'am, we've lost you. Sumitra ma'am, can you hear her?
Yeah, I can hear.
We had lost you, ma'am. We had lost you. Can you come again, ma'am?
Yes, yes. Full you have lost from the beginning?
Yes, yes, ma'am, from the beginning, ma'am.
Okay, I will get back to you. Yeah, 1 minute. Okay, so I'll get back. Yeah. For me, NEP, from my perspective, whatever I have summed up in this summing up after reading the NEP thoroughly, is what I'm going to place my mindset today with my dear friends. So I'll just say that this NEP is just a regular policy where usually the government it does in terms of improvising and augmenting the policies based on political, economical, sociological, and technological changes that usually happens in any country. It is just an inevitable process, I feel, and our job is only to understand that what efforts the government is taking and how many changes are required, how many are detrimental to each sector, and how overall this is going to affect the goodness and the productivity of the education system. For me, NEP is that. I feel that before training the students, we have to train our teachers. They have to be first equipped, and I guess this platform which you guys have made is really very beneficial, because today my teachers from my Bhind school, my Mount Literacy school, have joined. So I really wanted them to, attend this session. So I will only say that a lot of policies were changed in the past, and the policies that changed were somewhere around 34 years ago, in the year somewhere around 1986, whereby the last, you can say, policies were revised. Now, with the invent of so many calamities, catastrophes, and so many epidemics happening around us, there are a lot of changes coming around in academic policies, which require some sort of change. It requires some sort of revolution, transformation, you can say. If you ask me what I like of this policy, this NEP, is the change of the pattern in the 10+2, because we have all grown up with that fear, with the result of 10+2, that fear was always nurtured in us. And now the government, since it is focusing, because 10+2 was that result used to decide our career, Now it is not that. Now it is 5+3+3+4 policy, whereby it emphasizes on practicality of education. So now the people will talk in terms of critical thinking, holistic development, 360-degree, feedback. These all terms are going to shine up everywhere. They're going to float up. So what we really got through this NEP is flexibility. That is what you can underline. We have got flexibility, and I'm happy about that. I'm happy about the independent growth of each and every student without judging each other. So I'm also happy that the government has decided to give 6% of the GEP from the academic to the academic budget, which is also to be noted to all of us. So now I liked also that the skills that initially, when we were small, we used to learn the skills. If we have some hobbies and we want to convert it into profession, we could only do after our graduation. But well, now it is not so. By the time we reach grade 6 now, we will be acquainted with a lot of training and vocational skills, which there will be some bagless days, some skills that will be your hobby, which you can convert into your profession. So this is something which is nice, which we are going to learn about. You can say vocational training. It can be electric, it can be carpentry, it can be pottery, it can be mechanical, anything. So these are the life skills which were very, very important, which is added in our NEP. So I think the next generation which is going to come up is going to become all-rounders by the time they turn 18. Okay. The other thing that I liked is about the degree courses, that initially we used to get the degree after we complete our graduation 3rd year, but now it is not so. Now we leave the degree for whatever reasons and you can rejoin it. Dropouts was a rare, now it will be a rare thing. It was just dropouts, it will be the thing of the past now. So if you have your 1st year done, you can move out. If you don't wish to come back, you get certificate with 1 year degree program. Now you get diploma certificate if you complete 2 years. You get, after completing 3 years, you get the degree certificate, and if you do the 4th year, you get away with MPhil now, that is with research. So it has become very easy for everyone aspiring, if they're aspiring into research based studies, they can just flip it off. So most of them now, the students who used to be under the pressure of memorizing, NEP has gifted them into analytical skills. You don't need to mug up. Rote learning is not included now. So whenever you reproduce in the way, like we used to just mug up and write everything and forget it. Now it will not happen. Now you can comprehend on whatever you have studied. So these are all the plus factors which I have gone through so far. Talking about Indian education system, I fear that how it will be beneficial in the market, foreign markets, when so many foreign education industries are encouraged, where are we going to stand? Will we not shy away? Will we not hide away? That is one question. The next challenge, what I feel we will have is the drift away from the English, because each state will focus on their particular regional language, adopting their language. So our country, which is having 22 regional languages, it's like a kaleidoscope. It is like all languages taken together is like a rainbow. Yes, it is very beautiful, but isn't it a challenge for us in terms of technological development, whereby every new knowledge we create is first it comes with English. And how are we going to face this? These regional, will our children, will our kids not face problem and challenges? And how will we get into this homogeneous sense, in this heterogeneous mixture of so many languages put together? If I give you an easy example of every day, if you walk to an ATM machine and insert your card and 22 languages pop up, how it is going to seem? So for me, this is the best example. What I'm worried about the next is, till grade 6, coding is going to be introduced after the grade 6. Now, if you are going to add coding, that age we were climbing the trees and we were running, behind the bushes and we were playing actually. Now all the children will be inclined to the laptops and the computers. Are we going to be self-sufficient in the schools with all this infrastructure? Is our government ready at highly subsidized rates to give to the schools? Will it be affordable to the general students who are not in a position to buy even a textbook? Where the school I come from, there are some students who even cannot buy the basic things. Then how are we going to replace this with new computer technology? So although it is a good thing, our kids are going to learn some new, but can we support this as a government perspective? Will our bureaucracy and political system pull this whole thing, is my question, in a successful manner without leveraging any political mileage? Is my question to everyone. This is very important question and it needs to be answered without looking into personal gains and focusing only on holistic development of Indian education system, which has even doing wonders from centuries. We are example how civilization has improvised, and we have given this best example. We have adopted so many new practices. So we go unanimous now with the developed countries, and let this tag of developing go from developing into a developed. And that can happen only when we follow the today's technique, and that should be, it should not be slow and steady wins the race. That tortoise was lazy, that tortoise was not focused, and that tortoise was, you can say, it was not it was procrastinated. So let us focus on now. We need to work on procrastination. We have to be fast and furious. We have to be focused. There's nothing to worry. Of course, there is a change. Whenever there is a change, we fall into depression. We feel overweight. Eventually, we feel that how we are going to succumb to this. But then we are human beings, I feel. Our brains are capable of changing, altering, adjusting to every change possible. So as long as there is optimism, you can do anything. You have to understand change is important, and we are really in need of this change, because we cannot transform unless we change. But we need to also possibly change the education system apparently as a backbone for this Indian economy. This NEP is trying its best, I know, to hold the noble intentions, transforming and trying to rationalize. Now, rationalization means we add up something in some places, and some places where it is not required, we remove it. But so we need to understand that excessive or overindulgence of technology should not result into dilution and contamination of the essence and the vulnerability and the majesty of our academic content, which needs to be taken very good care. At the same time, it's important that before the NEP policies are implemented, we have to find out, we have to work out at the perspective, are we self-sufficient with the infrastructure? Is the school having all the facilities in every corner of our country, state, and in every administrative area? Are we having this? It's very important. It should I feel this NEP has to reach to the masses, to every corner of the village of this rural India. This India is rural. I want each and every student to benefit by this NEP. So if I sum up, I will only look, we should not think of, we should not as Indians, as we have the motive, as we have the idea, this may should go away from our system now. It has to happen. You cannot say it will happen. I will bask in the warmth of the sun. Tomorrow there will be sunshine. Tomorrow there will be rains. We will not say that. We have to be prepared with entire infrastructure in every corner of the country, every state, in every jurisdiction. The government, first of all, needs to teach and train teachers before the training schools. And one more wonderful thing emphasized is evaluation, which I really appreciate, that now the student will not be judged by only one teacher. The student's fate will not be dependent on only one teacher, but the student will himself understand where I stand, where I evolve, what I have to stop and where I have to grow. So it will again be a peer competition. So what special qualities have developed, inculcated, the students will be understanding now. So what I will just say that this, we are theoretically heading somewhere really phenomenal. We only need to see this works in the best vested interest of every individual who is committed to academics. There has to be phenomenal support from our administration. Policies cannot be just said, they have to be utilized and synced in the system. And with that, I would like to say thank you for watching and listening to me patiently. If anybody has any questions, you can feel free to write in the comment section and I will be more than happy to answer. I'd like to salute every single Indian watching this video today. God bless us all. Let's be proud of this new academic policy. Let's embrace this change with all the positivity and let's say yes together, we will bring a revolution. We will also survive and we will grow for the prosperity of our education industry. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Big thank you, Naina ma'am, for sharing a powerful and wonderful perspective. You began by saying the importance of teachers training, and you said like teachers training should be our first priority rather than focusing upon students training, which is again important too. You also talked about the change in the educational structure from 10+ to this new proposed structure is remarkable and is going to create huge impact. You also, shared your assessment that NEP emphasizes upon practical aspects of education. So, this would make those practical aspects more important. You also talked about, you shared those key highlights from NEP, be the flexibility in terms of choosing subjects or the entry-exit, during the higher education path and how it is going to create impact. You also talked about where you shared your assessment that NEP has a potential to take us away from that conventional rote learning based education ecosystem to the capacity based system. You also shared, your assessment that overemphasis upon regional languages may create confusion. in some part, and it has a potential to drift us away from English language, which would be harmful. I'm sure Jaswinder sir, would be sharing some valuable inputs here on that part. You also talked about the financial limitation at the part of most of the students who are in rural, in fact, in urban areas. That is again a challenging thing. You, in the end, called upon all the educators, all the stakeholders that we need to create more and more awareness about NEP. We need to take it to the masses in order to successfully implement it. And then in the end, you said like NEP is going to empower our students to take their own decisions, rather than seeking solutions from their teachers and from parents. So big thanks, Naina ma'am, for sharing these wonderful points. I'll be coming back to you with questions. Thank you all. And now I would request Mamta ma'am, if we can have your ideas and thoughts. Meanwhile, I must recognize the presence of very senior education leader, Dr. R.P. Singh ji, Principal Suman Minda, Public School, Ahmedabad. Welcome, R.P. Singh sir. Thank you for joining. And now I would request Mamta ma'am, if we can have your ideas.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rajul, and sorry for that interruption that was caused due to that technology glitch. Here, after listening to Ma'am, I really found that it was a very powerful kind of thing, and it really talked about the various aspects of NEP. If we say NEP only, the entire education community, it got geared up for having the spearheaded efforts to be done for bringing it into the reality. No doubt there are many challenges. Of course, there is limitation of resources, but still the thing is, as Ma'am Naina has shared, that we have to bring it to reality, and we have to make it a point that it should reach everyone. And for this, I strongly believe that it's planning, it's pedagogy, it's curriculum together that is only going to make the difference. If we talk of NEP, an education system that contributes equitable, vibrant knowledge society by providing quality education, high quality education to all. I mean, again, reaching every nook and corner of country, and developing the citizens with fundamental right, awareness about fundamental rights, respect to constitutional values, and having skills, strong commitments for being global citizens. So all these things, they somewhere focus. I believe that if planning, I mean, pedagogy and curriculum, if it would be holistic, definitely at school level, we would be able to achieve it. If not achieve it 100%, at least it would be at one step of that 1,000-mile journey, surely. The key principles of NEP, they say, respect the diversity, talking of regional languages, respecting regional languages. Mr. Jaswinder was sharing in his previous session that, this is high time when the languages communication is to be well taken care of. So in the same way, when we are respecting diversity, we are respecting that variety of the culture, we have to be here, in for that maintenance of that standard as well for the communication skills. Equity and inclusion, Anna has already beautifully spoken on it, that it should include entire community, then only it would be a success for NEP. Community participation, use of technology, yes, of course, no doubt that class 6 child going for coding, it would be like a Herculean task, but definitely getting incorporated with technology, getting introduced with technology, that would really help, and it's going to pave the path of future coding. Conceptual understanding, it's another key principle. We have unique capabilities. About this, NEP says that there would be a sort of special training also in BA, teachers training, to cater the needs of this, children with unique capabilities, gifted children. Critical thinking, always asking what, when, how. That's we do have, but admiration, appreciation that is done on our part. And of course, again, I would refer to the previous speaker, Ma'am Naina, She spoke about there is no fear of exams now. I mean, up to at least class 10, we are almost free to administer the curriculum on our at our own pace and doing it effectively as per the you know the direction of this NEP it says. The potential already it has been highlighted that there will be reduction in curriculum. I mean, the core essential which we have to focus on critical thinking, interactive classes, and experiential learning. And it all happens when we have a sort of holistic pedagogy. Holistic pedagogy, it stands for the qualities of head, hand, and heart. The children involved for like with mind, body, and spirit to the learning process. And learning outcomes, they are very much focused beforehand. They are well taken off beforehand at the time of planning. Of course, it's not only 50 hours training, rather it would require much more on the part of the leader. It is a paradigm shift in the leadership also. I mean, it's direct effect or indirect effect, responsive effect, but the leader is definitely going to, change the things or to give it it would be, I believe, in future networking sort of leadership where would be deriving ideas on this democratic level and then giving it to all. When it comes to this pedagogy, holistic pedagogy, the holistic pedagogy, it is not again to be done only in pen and paper or it is like just in the air. We should have smart plans here. The plans which are specific, the plans which are measurable, the plans which are achievable, realistic, no time bound. So planning play a very important role. I was listening to leadership talks a day before yesterday. The first speaker I remember, she spoke about as to where is the time when we are going ahead with syllabus and we are going ahead with curriculum. It's so tough. We hardly find any time, to go ahead with the activities and all. But what it is, the curriculum is to be here, like I wish to hear add-on that here the planning part will definitely play a very important role. The planning part is going to decide how the things they would be in future. We have to take care of all those, our 3Ls, 4Cs, our flip, IMT. So all this, I mean, there is like complete kind of vast explanation, how and what, when. So at the part of planning only, when I'm planning lessons or we are sitting together, putting our heads together as to how the lesson is to be executed. Now this thing, it is to be well focused and taken care of when the teacher is going to the class. Before that, all these parameters, they need to be met in the plannings itself. Whether it is experiential learning or it is competency-based learning or it is art integration in the lessons. It should be done only when we are all clear. I was going through that one of the handbook. There I could see that it has been clearly indicated that now there are no distinctions, no separations between co-curricular, curricular, sciences, humanities and rest of the thing. But see, this kind of implementation, when it comes to the reality ground, how it is going to be and what it is to be taken up, that would be a challenge. So obviously, here all skills are literacy, learning skills, life skills, collaboration, critical thinking, creativity, communication. How are we going to meet? How are we going to bring all these things together in a single classroom in 40 minutes period? That would be a challenge. And this challenge, if we meet, the next things they come after that. And I'm sure that we won't be able to complete it 100% or to achieve it 100% easily. But there are a few things which we can do. See, we talk of flexibility, leadership, we talk of creativity. How can we make the two things which we need to focus? how can we make this pedagogy, how can we adopt a pedagogical method that would make this curriculum enjoyable and engaging? These two things, if we see, automatically the third E of efficiency, it would come up. And it would go well. And at least some of the spirit would be able to, receive it, we would be able to grasp it. What do we have to see? We have to, share our enthusiasm in the class. I'm not saying that previously we were not teaching, or these parameters maybe directly or indirectly they were being taken up in the classes. But here, what is required on our part, that we have to be specific. I must know what I'm going to do in the class. It should not happen like that only, or automatically because of my teaching skills. I must have a complete, a program in my hand, how it is to. So it's tech savvy. I have to be in that, and I need to see how can I reduce my efforts for it. So it's your enthusiasm, teachers' enthusiasm, leaders' enthusiasm, stakeholders' enthusiasm. Definitely, it is going to play a very important role, an immense role over there. Making learning fun centers. School needs to be. It turns into be a fun center, and children, they should be active participants. Like the children, when they are, it should be more of interactive. More interaction would automatically explore their creativity. They will automatically explore their communication. So all these things, no, they are going to they're I believe, one you unfold, the rest of them they get unfolded themselves. So this is what that I feel very strongly about the sanity. Then providing real experiences. Is it not this experiential learning we are talking of? The teacher is going to the class with enthusiasm, making fun game out of the lessons he's going to give. And then it's art and decoration, use colors, use vibrance, use versatility in the class, and have tell stories. So all these things together, they definitely would make the pedagogical methods more interesting, and administration of this curriculum, it would be more fruitful, and it would be the first step towards the success of NAP. Limitations, no doubt they're there. They would be there in a country of such large population. We won't be able, Rome was not built in a day. We won't be able to achieve that 100%. But if we wherever we are, gear up for this thing, that we have to do it. We have to come out. So obviously, the smart plans, effective pedagogy, and a complete, a meticulous assessment of what I'm doing. Here, the pedagogic annual calendar would also help a lot as to what I was, where I am, and where I need to be. So such kind of distinctions that we have in our, objectives, obviously we would be able to, achieve what has been thought of, what has been devised of. If we are being given liberation, too much of liberation, it no foundation on subjects, no foundation of classes to be interesting, but it should not become it should not be a sort of noisy affair in the class, and that would be so difficult to manage, very difficult to manage. And it's only effective and holistic pedagogy which is going to help us, which is going to support us, and which would make this NEP, National Education Policy, effective, and we would be able to achieve. And beautiful activities they have been given in the handbooks, which are being sent by CBSE, the activities which are being organized at CBSE end. So all these things, if they are taken up in the right spirit, in the positive direction, with a note of optimism. I really loved ma'am's that optimistic note, that let all be together and raise hand, be Indians, be proud of being Indians, and we will do it. We would be able to do it. So I'm sure that all of so many of intellectuals, they are here in this meeting, in this leadership talk, we are participating, and we would be lucky enough to share more of the views as well. But somewhere it is for sure that these investments they're going to pay us interest in future. So in conclusion, I would say that we need to be more prepared. They're born in 21st century. They're born at this time of change. So they are equipped. We took time in understanding the technological learning, but they did not. So we need not do much bother about them. They would be picking it up. It's on us. The entire responsibility, it comes on our shoulders. We have to see to it. How do we specifically change? And I remember, I mean, beautiful words. One of the NEP seminar I was attending of Anita Karwal. She was saying that if we are not going to adopt the changes, if we are not going to, those who will not be able to adopt changes and become, conversant with the technology and changing things, the system will automatically throw them out. So this we need to understand ourselves and to make others also understand. Whatever 50%, 60%, 70%, 80% we are able to, we must do. Eventually, I would like to say that in order to ensure that all students, they learn, each and every member of the organization has to continuously engage in learning. This is what I believe, and this is what that is going to be one of the stepping stone for the success of NEP. I'm very thankful for this school Lalaji and this organization for giving us the opportunity to meet and to talk on this thing. And it was really lovely listening to the others, and it would be lovely to listen to the other speakers. Thank you so much, and I'm really glad to be a part of it. Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Big thanks, Mamta ma'am, for these useful, I would say, interpretation and suggestions. You began by applauding the NEP's focus on empowering teachers. You also talked about the inclusion and equity part of NEP. You said that reduction in curriculum is a welcome step and is going to create a space for a lot of other activities. You also talked about the importance of organized plans, how they can be effectively utilized. You also talked about where NEP is talking about the excellence in learning, competency-based education and learning. You also talked about that no hard separation in co-curricular activities is a good step, but it would also create some practical challenges which also need to be taken care of. You also talked about that, the policy is good, but the biggest and key implementer of this policy would be enthusiasm among all the educators. That would be a key. And you also said, like, as an educator, we need to find ways for the proactive participation and engagement from our students. And, where classroom management is going to be key. Teachers need to be innovative. They need to come up with their own tools, how they can ensure that proactive participation and engagement from our learners. So big thanks, Mamta ma'am, for sharing these wonderful ideas. I'll be coming back to you with questions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. And now with this, I would request Kavita ma'am, if you can have your ideas.
Thank you very much, Riju. I'm going to share my screen. One sec. Just a minute. Before talking about the major changes brought by the transforming new education policy.
And your screen is not visible.
It is not visible. Wait. Just a minute.
You haven't shared your screen, maybe.
Just a minute. I am trying. Wait. otherwise I will
Okay, ma'am.
just.
When principal ma'am says for wait, so we have to wait.
Uh,
So meanwhile, I'll
is
just
it
throw a question. No problem.
is it
ma'am.
okay now?
No,
Take your
ma'am.
time. Take your time.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes, it is
Yes.
visible now.
Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Is it it's visible now?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So before talking about the major changes brought by the transforming new education policy 2020, which is a roadmap to make India a global knowledge superpower, let's talk about the aims and objectives of NEP of 2020. So aims and objectives of NEP: students must develop not only cognitive skills, but both foundational literacy and foundational numeracy and higher order cognitive skills, such as critical thinking and problem solving skills, which are also among the 21st century life skills. Already, some of the panelists have talked about 5 C's. So I'll proceed further. It also includes social and emotional skills, which are also called soft skills. That includes empathy, teamwork, and leadership. New education policy emphasizes on the holistic development of learners, experiential learning, interdisciplinary approach. As we all know that there are 5 domains of early childhood education: cognitive, physical, psychomotor, social, and language development. And the beauty of national education policy is that it is all inclusive. First of all, we can classify NEP 2020 onto 6 bases. Number 1, changes brought in school education to meet the needs of 21st century, like universalization of education from preschool to secondary school, 2 crore out of school children back into the mainstream through NIOS like open schooling system, flexibility of choosing subjects, and current 10+2 system is replaced by 5+3+3+4. Number 2, medium of language. It is drift away from English and more emphasis on learning through regional languages and mother tongue. Number 3, changes brought in the system of higher education, like common entrance test, multidisciplinary approach for students, and up to 2040 each university in a district, MPhil to be scrapped, and enormous amount of flexibility. Number 4, maximum use of technology in education. I was in a seminar, in a webinar, where the speaker has rightly said that we cannot replace teacher, but that teacher will be replaced who is not proficient in technology. And this is very true. We have seen that in pandemic. Number 5, in the field of teacher recruitment, like 4 years integrated B.Ed, a new comprehensive national curriculum framework for teacher education 2021. Number 6, it is said, rightly said, money makes the mayor go. So what has been suggested in the financial field, the major changes will be 6% of total GDP should be spent on the development and support of education system in India. Again, I was in a webinar where the speaker has talked about this meme which is going on, the ACP Pradyuman in CID. He was saying, Daya, pata lagao कि ये education system, new education policy हमारे समय में क्यों नहीं आई? And this is actually, these kids are very, very lucky. They are getting this type of, they are going to get this type of education. And if we talk about the pillars of new education policy, and which is emphasizing that the learning will be enjoyable for all the children. And the first pillar they are talking about, providing access of education to every child, universalization of education. And number 2, equity, all the 1640 dialects, 22 languages, equitable education for all. And this number 3 will be affordable. This, the third pillar is that the education will be affordable for everyone. And number 4, accountability of teachers and school. Number 5, quality education. Enough is already done for infrastructure. Now, the emphasis will be providing the quality education. Number 6, communities and alumnus should be involved for one-to-one tutoring. It is all inclusive, like I earlier said. ECCE, 0 to 6 years, research says that fastest pace of brain development takes place during this stage. Brain develops very much at this stage. If it is exposed to new activities, when 700 synapses are born every minute. For increasing IQ of a child, exposure to different activities is a must, and NEP is emphasizing lots on this. The revolutionary steps have been taken in the field of early childhood education. And like I earlier said, from 0 to 3 years, parents should take care. And in that area also, parents will be, it will be tried that they will be also given training. And from 3 to 6, he will go to preschool or Anganwadi and have different types of experiences important for the development of their brain. Shift from rote learning to competency-based teaching and assessment. Here, I would like to speak a little bit about competency, and competencies are certain skills to solve daily problems of life. And here, the new education policy is emphasizing that the learning should be for life, not for passing exams. And teaching will be based on real life situations. Up to 2025, the exams will also shift to competency-based assessment. We can divide 21st century skills into 3 parts: learning skills, literacy skills, and life skills. And all these are going to be emphasized in new education policy 2020. Once again, I'll be talking about this like 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. The methodology will be in the first 5 years, that is nursery, KG, UKG, first and second, playway method will be used. And for the next 3 years, those are middle years, from 8 to 11, inquiry method to make them inquisitive, and through discovery method, the teaching and learning will take place. And for the next 3 years, that is secondary, from 11 to 13 years, focus will be on subjects and interconnectedness of subjects. And in the next stage, that is senior secondary plus 4, deciding about career and subject choices and research will be more emphasized. Assessments in class 3, 5, and 8. This will be the decision of states. It could be school-based assessments or state-based assessments. Progress cards will be called holistic progress cards, and there will be not only now the teacher will be doing the assessment, but assessment will be done by self, by peer, by teacher, and by parent. And it will be not 2-page document, it will be 20 to 30-page document, which will be having skills the child has acquired during the whole academic year. As earlier said, that research says child brain is very receptive, and for that vocational education is started from class 6th, and from class 1st what is education, what is vocation, it will be started like cooking, gardening, pottery, etc. will be started from class 1. For teacher recruitment, training and in-service training is too much focused. To make school effective, cluster of schools to be made to share their resources. Schools to be made safe and comfortable for students and teachers. Here one very important thing which 2020 NEP is speaking, and that is basic education and its goals. Basic education means Bunyadi Shiksha. And here what Bunyadi Shiksha means, ki if a child is in 3rd class, cannot read and write, and cannot do numbers on the standard prescribed for that class, then whole life the child will live with his weakness. The child can read 30 to 35 words per minute in class 3 from known or unknown text, which is age appropriate, and they too can write, and the child can do basic mathematics, operations like addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, and 3-digit sums. These are considered as basic education. बुनियादी शिक्षा की class 3 के बच्चे को इतना कुछ आना चाहिए. And the assessment will be held in class 3 for checking whether the child has developed these competencies or not. So this is basic education, which is actually going to bring something very important change in our education system. Education is for life skills to be inculcated, and the purpose of education will be to prepare for life. Role of panchayati institutions like local self-governments are also involved. Like earlier, it is said that all stakeholders of the society are going to be the part of NEP 2020. Like 100% enrollment of children in school is the responsibility of panchayati institutions. Panchayat should ensure that there will be zero dropout from the school. Inclusive education, where no discrimination on the basis of color, caste, gender, etc. And local artisans should brought to the school to give vocational exposure. So see, in this way, even the local self-government is involved for the promotion of education so that every child will be in the school. In the end, I would like to say, in the words of our Honorable Prime Minister, till date, we have been focusing on what to think. In this NEP, we will be focusing on how to think. So with this, I end my presentation. Thank you very much for patient listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Kavita ma'am, for these wonderful, in fact, created a, you presented a template, how we can implement this policy in an effective way, and the major highlights of the policy. You began by sharing the aim and objective of this national education policy, and then you talked about where NEP is focusing upon the holistic development of our learners. You also called upon all the educators that we must embrace technology, and you shared that very wonderful example that teachers who don't use technology will be replaced by teachers who use technology. So not technology will not replace her. You also then talked about and explained the pillar of NEP, how this NEP is focusing upon making our education a joyful experience for all the learners. So you explained all those important pillars of this national education policy. Then you talked about that focus on early childcare education is laudable. And I strongly agree with you, ma'am, and I strongly believe that NEP has already achieved a huge success in that aspect. Now, a lot of people have formally recognized the importance of early, those importance of those early years. Now, a lot of people are talking about those early years. the common phrase is, 80% brain development happens in those, first 6 years. So a lot of people have recognized the importance of those learning in early years. Then you shared your assessment that 21st century skills would be divided into 3 categories where, learning skill, literacy skill, and life skills, would be important. And then you also shared, explained that holistic progress card and how it would be more meaningful because of the involvement of peer assessment, teachers, self-assessment, and parents. You also talked about the importance of the cluster of schools to share resources and how it is going to create the impact. And then you talked about the importance of basic education and how NEP is focusing upon that. And in the end, you shared that, a very meaningful quote by Honorable Prime Minister that we need to shift from what to think to how to think. So big thanks, Kavita ma'am, for sharing these important points. I'll be coming back to you with questions. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you all. Now I would request Soumita Chatterjee ma'am, Soumita ma'am, if we can have your ideas in detail. Soumita ma'am.
Thank you, Rajul sir. Please allow me to share my screen. Just give me 1 second. Is my screen visible, sir?
Not yet, ma'am.
Okay, just give me 1 second. Rajul sir, I'm very sorry I'm not able to share my screen. Would request you to please do the sharing.
We have received your presentation. I'm sharing screen for you.
Right, thank you.
Maybe that's okay. We can give her the control.
Okay, so I would like to start with one very pertinent question. Now, we all would agree that we are living in an extraordinary century with extraordinary speed, extraordinary skills, extraordinary intelligences, and extraordinary challenges. So what kind of education would actually empower us to empower our students for this amazing period? With this, I would like to begin today's presentation and therefore highlighting on the several expectations, the challenges, and the solutions towards education and teaching in the 21st century. Now, first of all, I would like to briefly go through a few very important tenets of the NEP 2020. I'm sure all of us have gone through it, but still I would like to reiterate on a few things. Clause number 4 says, learning should be holistic, integrated, inclusive, enjoyable, and engaging. So I think this in itself is a very, very potent statement, which brings us to the depth of what and how the NEP is actually going to visualize education in the 21st century. Then clause number 4.6 says, the key overall thrust of curriculum and pedagogy reform across all stages will be to move the education system towards real understanding and learning how to learn away from the culture of rote learning. Rajul sir, I would just request you to go back to the first slide. I'll tell you when to go to the next. Then 4.7 says, the mandated contents will focus on key concepts, ideas, applications, and problem solving. 4.24 says pedagogical initiatives like introduction of contemporary subjects such as artificial intelligence, design thinking, organic living, etc. will be undertaken. 4.31 says the aim of assessment will shift from one that primarily tests rote memorization skills to one that is more formative, more competency-based, promotes learning and development, and tests higher order skills. 4.39 states every student has innate talents which must be discovered, nurtured, fostered, and developed. And finally, 5.15 states that teachers will be given constant opportunities for self-improvement to ensure that every teacher has the ability and flexibility to optimize their own development as teachers. So I think this, in a nutshell, prepares us mentally to go through any in sync with the thought of the policy makers when they were about to frame the new education policy. Therefore, let us first go through what are the 21st century skills for learners which a teacher is expected to promote. Obviously, we all are now, by now, very well aware of the 4 C's, which come under the learning skills as envisaged in the new education policy, which is critical thinking, creativity, collaboration, and communication. Next, sir. So therefore, it also brings us to the thought that what is the role of a teacher in the 21st century? And has it undergone any changes? Has the concept of the 21st century classroom changed or not? So therefore, I would first like to point out a few very important features and signs of a 21st century classroom, which has technology integration, which has collaborative environment, it has opportunities for creative expression, an inquiry-based approach, justification for answers, an environment of reflection, and an environment which encourages using a problem-solving methodology, which also encourages hands-on learning, and where the teacher is a facilitator and there is a transparent system of assessment. Therefore, if these are the signs of a 21st century classroom, then we might very well shift our focus from the traditional role of a teacher to the role of a teacher in a 21st century, wherein the teacher now becomes a facilitator of learning rather than being a teacher who teaches by the chalk and talk method. He becomes a collaborator for learning rather than a controller of the classroom activities. He becomes a prompter rather than being a mere assessor who focuses on scores and grades and ranks. Again, he becomes a participant in the teaching learning process rather than simply being the organizer of classroom activities and teaching learning activities. Finally, he is a co-learner who is equally participating in the learning process as being a tutor whose skills learning all comes to an end after a certain acquirement of certain degrees. Therefore, the NEP also has certain expectations from the teachers who would be teachers of the 21st century. So for this, I would like to first say this, that it is not enough for teachers to be masters of their professions, but they also have to be artists of it. Such a lovely saying and such an emphatic statement, wherein the word artist in itself gives so many options, so many avenues for a teacher also to experiment along with the children in the classroom. Next, sir. Therefore, if we teach today as we taught yesterday, we rob our children of tomorrow. We have to remember this as educators, as teachers. And therefore, the teachers in the 21st century have to demonstrate, have to imbibe, have to inculcate the following skills. So it's not only about preparing students, it's also equally about preparing teachers for the new scenario. Therefore, a teacher has to have flexibility, information literacy. He should be able to develop employability skills. He should be able to build life skills. He should have digital literacy, and he should be able to promote sustainable learning. He should be able to facilitate autonomous learning for his students. And finally, he should be able to customize his teaching learning to suit the individual needs of every child under his custody. Therefore, we can sum up by saying what makes a good teacher, and I would like to re-emphasize at this point that here we are only talking about a teacher in the 21st century. So good teachers will be strong communicators. They will be able to listen well, which means there should be completely two-way communication in the classroom. Good teachers will focus on collaborative activities rather than being a dictator in the classroom. They have to be adaptable to adapt themselves to the needs of the hour and to the needs of his children. They have to be empathetic and they have to understand and feel the emotions of the students. So therefore, I'll just give a small example, which I'm sure all of us would agree to. So it was something that was unimaginable in the last century, that a teacher comes to the class prepared to deliver a lecture, and suddenly he finds that the children in the classroom are not mentally ready to accept what he's going to deliver on that particular day. And the children demand that, sir, we are not, in a position to study this topic. Can we do some activity today? Or can we go on to this topic? Or can we revise a previous topic? I'm sure a teacher in the past century would definitely be thumping his legs and then moving out of the classroom in agitation. But then today the scenario has changed. So the teacher has to be able to adapt, has to be able to understand the needs of his class and therefore act accordingly. Then moving on to the challenges. After we have spoken about so many qualifications, I'm again, within quotes, emphasizing on the word qualifications, because this is not the academic or the professional qualifications that we are talking of. These are qualifications which a teacher in the 21st century has to imbibe by his own. He has to adapt himself in order to acquire these qualifications.